In this video, we're going to be taking a look at installing the fourth and final cam into our cam simulation for Automata, and this will be looking at wrapping up activity 417 in the IED curriculum. So much as what we've done in previous videos, I'm going to bring in the heart cam, drop it into our assembly file, and I want to go ahead and get this put and brought into position to how it would be installed into our Automata box. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate 90 degrees. And say OK. We're going to go ahead and use the joint command, sticking with a rigid joint. Again, choosing the outer edge of our circle with the joint origin chip acting as the center point. And then the same thing for our outside edge on our cam. I'm going to go ahead and turn this to the front, and we're going to do an offset, and it's going to be 4.25 for our offset, and I'm going to say OK. So here's what I'm going to end up doing is I need to figure out, much like we do, is if I click the measure tool, I need to figure out, well, how far of a distance do I have from the roller to the lowest point on the cam, which is actually going to be down in between these two lobes. So if I choose the roller, and if I choose the arc face down here, here's the issue. It's not going to get you, if you look at the arrows, you are missing where it is going to be. If I turn it to the side, the arrows are missing to where it should be connecting to the bottom. So this is if you use these measurements, we're going to be off. So I'm going to go ahead and hit close. And the other thing I'm going to do for this case, so that way this doesn't get in the way, is I'm going to turn off the visibility for the box right, and you can also do it for the box left. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it to the right, and I'm going to choose measure, but I want to check one option here called show snap points. So when I check that, I'm going to hover over the roller, and in order to make sure, so if I try to choose the bottom of the roller right in the center, it may disappear on you a little bit. Hold the control key and then choose the bottom, go down here to the cam, and on the arc you're going to notice that you're going to get some snap points when you hover over the face. Hold control, so that way it holds those positions, and choose the point right there. And that's going to give you the exact point between there. 0.861, 861 thousandths of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and hit close. I'm going to go ahead and edit slider 43, edit the joint. And I want to add 861 thousandths to our cam offset, and I'm going to say OK. And now you're going to see that that's sitting right directly in there. And even then, you may even kind of notice, kind of looks like it's sitting into our cam profile a little bit too much. So I may back this off by a few thousandths of an inch. So let me go ahead and edit the joint, and let's go ahead and do 850 thousandths of an inch and say OK. Okay, still looks like a little bit too much. This heart cam is a little tricky. Let's do 825 and say OK. Okay, still interfering just a little bit. So that's the only issue as we take a look at that. So we really don't want this to be sitting down into the cam, so that way it interferes. Let's do 800 thousandths of an inch. Okay, so we're getting a lot closer there, very close. And let's bump this up. And there can be a little bit more of a methodical way, but I'm going to go ahead and add another. So, all right, that's 810 thousandths. Again, this is with a nominal diameter of 2 inches. So, you know, the rollers, we really are probably not going to get that to fit right in there. We actually want it to touch the lobes. So you could actually go through and probably measure this a little bit closer. But this heart cam, you know, you may have to kind of play with and kind of get that going. but you'll see there's just a little bit of a gap in there. We want it to sit in between the lobes on there. And with a nominal diameter, I'm going to go ahead and skip the part since you guys have seen it in other videos on how to edit your sketch and go in there and find your maximum displacement. Since this right here is a 2-inch nominal diameter cam, from the center to this outside point that we see is going to be 1 inch. So when I go to edit the joint limits, my maximum displacement is going to be 1 inch, and then the rest position is going to be at 0. And I'm going to go ahead and say OK. As we go along, we're going to, here it looks like the contact's already enabled. So typically you want to disable contact whenever you're doing this, but if I click and drag and move, you'll see there is, again, here's the big thing, is I have 4 cams in here, and you'll notice it's kind of locked up on me right now. So what you might have to do is, if you're just wanting to look at the one cam, is go down here into your model history tree, find the component, and go ahead and say suppress feature. Do that for the other 3 cams, because that'll help with some of the processing to go on. And then now, when I go to rotate, I'm going to get a lot, you'll notice now it works so I don't get the lockup on my handle. And you can see how that follower goes around that heart cam and follows the path. So again, just because if it does lock up on you, or if you try to animate this and it doesn't work, don't feel like it's you. It could be the processing power on the computer. So you probably are doing it right. It's just the processing it needs to animate the model. So now if I go ahead and unsuppress my other cams, and here we go. I can bring back my box sides visibility. If I want to, I can go ahead and right click on Revolute 9, animate the model. So the animation, you'll notice, is a little, at times it kind of sticks for a moment. And again, that's probably the processing power of the computer I'm on right now. But that doesn't mean that it's an issue with you. There's a reason why I did this on a computer. I did this on a separate one from my laptop that usually runs my CAD software. I did this so that way you could kind of see that. Again, probably not your fault, not an issue of yours. It's just your machine. And it could also be the cloud computer running the processing as well. So, but this is one way we can go through and kind of look at the animation. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to edit the ruler and for the ruler spacer. For the 0 points, and you can go through and get some measurements from each one of these cams, and just some best practices and neat features to help you out with Fusion and creating your editing some of the models in an assembly.